This meal tonight. You got to listen to me for a few minutes. No, Jack, don't go out the back door. You got to stay here. Jack's looking away there. We've added some pictures up here to the gallery. If you haven't seen them, there's a couple that are X-rated, but that's okay. Actually, R-rated, not X-rated. But there is one, a nice one here, taken 40 years ago this month, August 1961, showing the three generations of John Patrick Shea in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Now, he always claimed to use the 9th. It's on his license plate. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But who can quarrel with it? But there's a picture of Jack and his father and grandfather taken 40 years ago this month. Jack really was a young guy at that time.
Am I supposed to open this?
Joe Kelleher added a few pictures, too. And I say that because you might think they came from me, but not me. You will get a chance to make your own comments up here to get and he'll get a rebuttal. So it's like sort of like those Dean Martin roasts they had on TV years ago. Don't insult him too much because he gets the last shot at you there. Margie, what'd I say? You didn't like what I said? Okay, But this goes back a long way, 60 years. Thanks. It's better than the alternative, though, Jack, isn't it? Yeah, no.
I guess you're right.
I made this sign up the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Or the aughts. It's called the aughts. It's like you're in your 7th decade, Jack. How's that feel?
Yay!
He always maintained I was older than him, but that's not true, folks.
And he got mad because nobody ever questioned it.
Yeah, they're right. At least I have my hair, regardless of the color.
Oh!
It's what's inside as opposed to outside.
Yeah, yours is pushing out. I can see that. But going back to earliest recollections, I was going through those pictures there. Easy, Jack. I'm getting excited now. That trip to Ireland we had in 1950, there's a couple pictures of our trip over there with our mother. And it was an interesting time because we went over there in June of 1950, and it was a 7-day cruise, so-called cruise, to Ireland, to Cove. And our trip was delayed on the way back because there's something called the Korean conflict broke out that summer, and the ship that we were supposed to come back on was used to haul troops overseas. So we had an extra month in Ireland, which wasn't too bad, actually. We enjoyed it very much. And 50 years later, last summer, just a year ago this month, we went to Ireland again, a family reunion. And cousin Peg Martin back there has an album of pictures. Anyone wants to see those pictures? Well, my sister has them right now. Sheila has them. But it was quite a trip last year at this time. We had a great time with the family reunion. And many of the people that were there a year ago are here tonight. And he's going to embarrass the whole family again. Been doing this for 60 years too. But Tom Moriarty has the family shirt on there, so he's continuing the reunion fever there. Appreciate that, Tom. Thank you. Some of the earliest recollections, though, that we have in the 50s, growing up, as we did in D.C., we spent our summers up in Massachusetts at our grandparents' house. And we spent we had various trips too. Back in those days, a big trip for us to go to Baltimore for a couple days. That was here.
It's called the block.
And yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, Blaze says hello, Jack. Blaze says hello. But we, today our kids go off to France, Italy, Spain. They've been places we've never been, maybe never get to. But and of course, Jack's kids have been all over the world too, to Russia and to France. And Italy, and Nepal, yes. Michelle did operations in Nepal. That's a scary thought, that's okay. But she did. Jack and I were only 2 years apart in age, believe it or not. That's the real truth. So we did a lot of things together. And growing up in the 50s, in fact, Pat Long, who's here with his wife Maureen from Tennessee, come up here. Good to see Pat. Those are also some pictures that have been added to the table up here. We have Pat and his mother, who's with him there, and Jack and our mother in their baby pictures. They were about less than a year old. And they are at Tunlaw Road pictures there. They do have all their clothes on, though. It's not one of the embarrassing pictures. Okay. But we used to do a lot of things together. I mean, remember in high school that at one time we were dating this group of girls from Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and Jack and Pat were 2 years older. They were dating girls 1 year younger than them. I was dating a girl 1 year older than me, so it all worked out very nicely. We all went traveling together. Move right along. Don't go to that story, okay? You don't like that story. All right. Pat doesn't like that story either, so yeah, I remember that. Oh, they were nice girls, Pat. But there we were. Jack and I were Holy Trinity grade school together. Then we went on to Gonzaga High School, and then we went on to Georgetown together. And we do have some Georgetown graduates here tonight. We have from the class of 60. We have Joe Kelleher back there. That's 60. We have 63. Jack. We have Tim Lanigan from 64, and 65 is right here. So we have Mary Lee. She teaches at Georgetown once in a while. So those were our years in the 50s. We also, Jack and I, spent time as bat boys up there for the Georgetown baseball team in the mid-50s, too. And the coach of the team at that time was a fellow...
I found a bat the other day.
You found a bat. They paid us in bats and balls. The bats were broken, the balls would not see another game. But we had fun playing with them anyhow. But the coach of that team was a fellow named Joe Judge, who actually was a famous Washington Senators baseball player back in the 20s and 30s, played with Walter Johnson. And Joe Judge should be in the Hall of Fame. But we didn't realize how big a ball player he was years later. What do we know? But we had a lot of fun up there in Georgetown. And then a few years later, we ended up going to school there ourselves. In the 60s, one of my earliest recollections of the 60s was actually seeing a color TV set and watching the New Year's Day football games at the Ledane House on Reservoir Road. Went over there and watched the football games there. Mary Lee's aunt and uncle, Eugene and Hannah May, were had that house there. So they invited us over to watch a football game. I'd never seen color TV as a little kid. I wasn't in high school, wasn't that little. But I hadn't seen color TV, so it's a big deal. That's why some of the kids look at these pictures and say, what happened to the color in those pictures? Well, that's the way cameras were in our day. We were your age. So you got what was available. But after Georgetown, Jack went to Columbia and got his master's degree in financial management there in the business school. One of the fellows he met was Harry Green, who was in the law school at Columbia at that time. And so, Jack, remember, Harry's coming after me, Jack, and then of course you get one more chance at that point. Yeah. One of the most interesting time we had was in 1965. I finally got out of Georgetown. Jack was out of Columbia. We had jobs. Sheila was still at home. We're all working. Jack had gotten married by that time to Diane, but we all had a carpool. My father drove, and the carpool consisted of my father driving, Jack, Sheila, me, and Jane Foxon. We had a 5-person carpool. Diane's roommate from college, who was also a roommate of Carol Jordan, who was here. Carol Jordan is here from Dunbarton with us too. And that my father would hold his hand out for put your money in, pay every day. Cash on the barrelhead when he was chauffeuring us down to work. So, but those days, Sheila worked at the GAO at 4th and G Street Northwest. Jane worked at the appellate court there at right near, what was that, right 3rd and D, whatever it was. 4th and D, right there in the courthouse area. And then Jack worked at NASA, my father worked at FAA, and I worked at GSA, all at 7th and Independence Avenue Southwest. We all worked there. We probably had a parking lot there. We dropped the girls off, then we went and parked. And that went on for a few months. We finally figured this is too much family togetherness, So we did finally break that carpool up. But for a while, there was 5 of us driving to work every day. And it was a lot of fun because my father, he was not a real patient man, but, there was always somebody late for the carpool. Initials are Jack, actually, no. And in true family tradition, we followed 2 years apart in getting married. Jack and Diane were married in August 65. Bonnie and I were married in August 67, and Sheila was married to Bob in September of 69. But all 3 at Holy Trinity Church in Georgetown. All 3 weddings were there. Sheila's reception was held upstairs here in the Great Hall. Jack, we're required to say that, Jack. Okay. And in 1969, and in fact, we had our parents' 35th wedding anniversary was upstairs in that hall too, in 1975. So they had their 35th wedding anniversary in 1975 upstairs here. So our mother wore her wedding dress there too. How many of you can say that you'll do that too? Moving right along. But Jack and I did a lot of things together. In fact, we were even so tight, so close together, we decided to enlist in the Air Force together. And so we figured this is one way to, we don't have to go to Canada. We don't have to, we've beaten the draft. He actually ended up at Holabird. He did go for a physical at Holabird in Maryland. I never got that close. I did enlist and all that. So ended up at the Air Force, ended up at Andrews Air Force Base. And then one day in January 1968, Jack got a phone call. He said, "You heard the news." I said, "What news?" He says, "We're being activated." I said, "Jack, I've been married 5 months. I'm not going to be activated now." He says, "Yes, you are." So how much annual leave should I take? He says, "You don't have enough annual leave. You never will." So the next couple of years, we ended up in the Air Force on active duty. And one day, we ended up in Myrtle Beach together, Jack and I, Myrtle Beach. And the sergeant called us out and said, "Let's line up." He says, "All right, I need some volunteers to go to Vietnam." Now, Jack isn't that quick. I am. I went like this. Jack didn't move. So the sergeant says, "All right, you fella, tall guy, you go." So Jack spent the next 13 months at Phuket, and a couple pictures up there showing him in Vietnam. I spent the rest of the war keeping the Viet Cong off the beaches at Myrtle Beach, and they never did attack there. So Jack was attacked every night at Phuket in Central Highlands. Anyhow, that summer we got off active duty in '69. Sheila and Bob got married, and it was a happy time actually. But it wasn't happy for my father. My father was concerned about. He was moving on in age. He was kind of wondering. People asked him, "How many children do you have?" "There's 3. "Are they married?" "Oh, you're all married." "How many grandchildren do you have?" "Not any grandchildren." So we used to have Sunday dinner over at my parents' house, and my mother fixed a fabulous dinner. So one day, the 3 couples are sitting there, my mother and father. My father bows his head and he says, "I'll say grace now." He said, and when he finished grace, he says, "I'll give $1,000 to the first couple that produces a grandchild." And when he looked up, there was nobody at the table but my mother. We'd all gone upstairs. So, As it turned out, Diane, Sheila, and Bonnie were all pregnant in 1970 at the same time. We have pictures to prove it. So, and sure enough, the first grandchildren came along in December with Michelle and Terry, and then Laura followed appropriately April Fool's Day in 1971. So, but it was close enough. So the 3 grandchildren came along. And then my sister was very eager. She was much younger than us. She had a son in 72, see, she had her son Bobby. And then John and Dan came along in 73. And then young Mike came along in 75, Jack and Diane's 3rd child. By that time, my father said, that's enough, okay? You can turn them off now, okay? I have enough grandchildren. But 2 more did follow, and that, of course, was Nicole and Shanna in 77 and 78, respectively. And the thing is, in the 70s and 80s were spent raising those kids, you know, doing our thing. There were some sad times. Our father did pass away in 1976, and that was a very tough year for our family in 76. There was quite a few family members then, and as Jack pointed out many times, in my mother's family there were 11 children, and 1 did die in 1920. But from that time until 1976, they were all still alive, and the family has survived a lot. But by the 90s, we came into some more tough times, especially in 1994 when Diane passed away, and my Aunt Sheila and my mother. So, but things, you know, there's good times and bad times. Jack and Mary Lee were married in 1996. Another that was a good, happy time. And well, you'll get your chance. Mary Lee might get her chance too. I'll give you the cab number, Jack. It's 522-3333. Red Top Cab. They come here every night. It's okay. But the thing is that in the 90s also saw 7 of the grandchildren get their college degrees. Some got a little more. And then we have 2 that just graduated in the past few months. Nicole and Shanna bring up the rear. They did finally get their graduate decoration. Very pleased with that. So, and so it's like any family. I mean, you have the good times, the bad times, the ups and the downs, the things that can go wrong, things that can go right. And on balance, it's been a good time in general. What I'd like to close with is just Jack, you can correct me on this. It was either Shakespeare or maybe Mickey Rooney who said, "It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." Was that Mickey? Remind me, Mickey. Anyhow, he's married 7 or 8 times. Well, I believe it's better to have loved and won than to love and lost. And Jack has actually loved and won twice. First with Diane, and now with Mary Lee, and we're very pleased with that. And maybe I hope you'd agree that we're very happy for Jack. All you want for your family, for your brother, your siblings, or your children is to be happy and fulfilled. And I think that this is a good time tonight. A lot of families will say the only time they see their relatives is at funerals, you know, or something like that. Well, I think we need more, you know, of the good times. This is a good occasion too. So. We're very grateful for where Jack is at this point. And in closing, I'd like to thank Mary Lee. I'd like to thank Michelle, John, Mike, and Nicole for their help in putting this all together too tonight. It's a lot of work goes into this. Okay. And with that now, Jack, you can take some notes if you'd like, but I'll call Harry Green up here now to say a few words. And I think Laura has some few words after that, too. So we're getting anybody else who wants to jump in here, who wants to get inspired, step up.
Harry's going to forget my parking ticket.
That's one thing the district does very well, Jack. And they got a camera on Albemarle Street, I think, too.
Do they?
This is not the part of the evening that Jack's been looking forward to. The reference has been made that Jack and I were at Columbia together. I was doing graduate study in law. Jack was doing graduate study in how to take lawyers' money.
That's right.
And
Yay!
It didn't work, Harry. I tell you, it didn't work.
I also want to thank Marilee for all she's put into this, and particularly her superb judgment in not circulating that photograph of Jack's body until we'd all finished dinner. That was Jack, Marilee insisted that we not bring gifts tonight. And these are not gifts. You do have to come up. These are essentials. And there's a difference between gifts and essentials. Now,
You just said it was Viagra.
well, you have kind of two options at this point in your life, Jack, and you can go one of two ways. And one way, and the photograph of the body is really terrific because it's really in keeping with this. Yeah, bring up that photograph, would you? Because you're about to see the before and after. Here, could you open this?
I was going to let the people see how realistic.
Well, they've seen it. I think they've seen enough of it, and dessert is yet to come, so let us try to get through it. But why don't you open that?
Man is as old as the woman. Let me tell you, for any of you who come before the court in the District of Columbia,
Be very careful now.
right, be very careful now, right? This is what, Michelle, take the girl's ears and plug them.
All right.
A man is as old as the woman he feels.
That's Groucho.
Oh, Groucho Marx. Sorry. I won't read the rest of these because they are kids here.
Save the paper, Jack. Save the paper.
Say the paper. Well, yeah, I'm going to read the paper. I have a feeling this is the Anna Nicole Smith pinup
No,
book.
this is,
No, it's too
this
small
is-
for that.
This
Okay,
is a
right.
New York Times bestseller, believe it or not.
Body for Life. Oh my God. 12 weeks to mental and physical strength.
You'll particularly enjoy between the front cover and the back cover. I don't know whether you want to circulate it or not.
Is anybody in this magazine straight?
I don't know. There are two or
They're all
three people.
guys in bikinis. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Danielle. Good book.
That's one way you can go, Chuck. But this is...
Well, she was telling me how, no,
When I turned 60, my sons presented me with something resembling this. I have found it very useful. I didn't wear it tonight. I could remind mine.
Tim, next month.
But I wanted to open this for you.
Why, because I can't?
Well, you may not be able to.
You are 60.
But this is for you
A
to
rosary?
wear in
Oh.
case you're ever in trouble. I think you ought to probably
Name and
read
address
it.
on it?
But it's...
Without my glasses, wonderful. Yeah, right. Thanks, so.
Well, if you need help,
I'll help.
it's your senior citizen identification.
With a
card.
dunce cap.
Yay!
Good. He needs that.
Let me help with this. This is, and I have to express my appreciation to Nicole for this. Particularly, if there's anything that's wrong here, it's Nicole's fault.
Good.
But it
Typical
lists,
judge.
it lists Jack's name, address, phone number. His employment is retired chief of the Zero Defects Program, DEFECKS, of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Date of birth, it just says, oh my God, really? Era of birth, Mesozoic. In the event of an emergency, of course, to call Marilee at her home phone number, but in the event she refuses to take the call, to phone the emergency attendant on duty at the Office of Aging Desperate Cases Bureau in the District of Columbia. And then this is where Nicole's help really became quite helpful. It lists other family contacts, your four exceptional children, Jack, Michelle, Michael, and Nicole, any of whom may deny relationship. And
Except for the one who looks a little
three
like me.
three extraordinary grandchildren, Hannah, Julia, and Maya, all of whom are too young to understand. Allergies, Nicole said anything that's good for you. Medical conditions, and Nicole was really quite helpful here. Let me see if I can get through this. Obsessive compulsive xeroxis. Reflected in patients' persistent use of office copiers to duplicate documents, money, food, faces, and other human body parts patient finds attractive. Second, sardinesis, whereby patient exhibits uncontrollable dietary preference for canned, oily fish over all other foods known to Julia Child. Third, microbruschiosis, manifested by patients' unwillingness to imbibe any brewery product manufactured in a quantity exceeding 1 6-pack. And hypergonzaga-asis, reflected by patients consuming preoccupation with anything related to the school of St. Aloysius.
You had enough sense to leave that environment.
Medications, printer toner taken orally to discourage excessive xeroxis, cod liver oil to control sardinesis, and any medication consisting primarily of alcohol. So I think if you wear this, you'll stay out of trouble.
Harry goes right with the cap.
Okay.
Hat.
And happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Harry. This is a dunce cap. The dunce can't get it on. That's another story. Joe, did you get that?
Who else would like to speak? Laura, you like to speak?
No, please.
No?
You're all finished.
We're going by table here. We go to the next time.
Oh, God. Laura, that's me, your godfather. Me right here.
This is your night to be roasted, Uncle Jack. And this is a poem from your favorite goddaughter. Are you paying attention?
I know. No.
Okay, it's an ode to Uncle Jack's 60th birthday. Please laugh, even if you don't feel like it. 60 years ago today, the eldest child of Hannah Mack and Pop-Up was Lay. It rhymed. In a long lineage of Jack and John Sheehan's, he was number 9. So proud, he later displayed it on his license plate so all could know his number in the family line. Jackie grew up to be very tall, very funny, and very bright, a bit mischievous, according to his sister. Any girl he wanted to date, including Martha Stewart, he never missed her. He went to high school in the decade of the slick hair 50s, so he was really cool. Then he went to college at Georgetown and grad school at Columbia, so he was no fool. Soon after, he met a wonderful woman who became his wife, with whom he had a wonderful life. 4 kids they had, after a contest involving a head of cabbage led by his dad. So many stories to tell at this point, but this is supposed to be a short poem, and all of you here celebrating his birthday, surely you know most of them. That rhymes with poem. He worked very hard at NASA for many years and loved taking pictures and home movies, so often it brought his children to tears. He made time for baseball games, walks on the beach, even dyeing Michelle and Coley's hair. And he loved walking around the house when we were little in his underwear. No one said I couldn't reveal that secret, I swear. Uncle Jack wears many hats as a brother, an uncle, a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a godfather to me. I've always thought he's a perfect fit since we're both a bit quirky.
Me, quirky. Me.
Every time I see Uncle Jack, he makes me smile and laugh. About what? From the mundane observations about life to the corny jokes. And sometimes what I'm laughing at is unclear. He has one of those youthful, happy spirits which is contagious to all people he's near. Uncle Jack has encountered many good times and challenges in his life, and tonight he gets to celebrate those years at this party organized by his other wonderful wife. So to you, Uncle Jack, I want to say, I'm so happy you're my godfather, I love you, and happy, happy birthday.
I wasn't going to come up here till Laura mentioned the baseball games. Then I felt compelled because the one story I promised I'd tell happens to do with baseball games. And clearly we're all here because we love my dad, but I was thinking of one way to describe him, the best light that I saw fit. And I chose my dad, the baseball coach. Now, although I may not look it now, in my day, I was quite the baseball player. First base, I was pretty damn good. But my dad was the coach. And unfortunately, at the time, my dad has always had the philosophy that everyone gets a chance. Well, that's too damn bad, even though you're so good, because you're going to get benched. And it happened all the time. I'd make a catch at first. I'd make a perfect throw to second. 2 outs. Sheehan, you're out. Jones, you're in. Jones, you're in. Dad, she sucks. Sit down. We don't talk like that. The most boring baseball team we were. You couldn't curse. If you were good, you got benched. You watched the biggest nerds get up there and blow the game. I can't tell you how awful we were. But regardless, I mean, people would actually come up to me and say, your dad is so mean. I know, he hates me. He doesn't want me to play. Anyway, so maybe that was inappropriate. But the point is that I should think our lives would all be a little better if everybody shared the same philosophy that everybody gets a turn. Happy birthday, Dad.
If you want to get a shot, you better come up here, because otherwise he's getting his turn, so... You know. If you're real secure in your relationship with Jack, then sit back, that's fine. But, you know, if you want to preempt... Oh, I can get Margie out. Now, I was out in the parking lot a few minutes ago, and I'm out there and I see this thing that says, if God wasn't a hokey, why do the leaves turn orange and maroon in the fall?
And orange in the fall.
Yeah, orange, maroon, orange. But I mean, how hokey is that? You know. Go get him, Marge.
All I want to say is, Mary Lee, Jack, on our next cruise, if Jack gets lost on a bus tour in any strange foreign port, again, I'm leaving him. He's staying. We're not picking him up. Because we had 60 irate people all yelling at poor Mary Lee standing there on a bus. Well, she's going, you can't leave, my husband is missing, and 60 people were going, we don't care, we're missing airplanes. And next thing I see is, here comes Jack, God bless him, just running along with a little bag from the store, just going, I'm coming. And we're like, you're a little late. We almost left him in Acapulco. And sometimes I think Mary Lee even goes, why didn't we leave him in Acapulco? But you always make traveling so much fun, Jack, I have to admit. I mean, as much as we yell at you, you do make it fun. And happy birthday. We love you.
You know, I think there is hope for this marriage with Jack and Mary Lee. They're both at separate tables. This could work, you know. Hannah, do you want to say something, dear? Oh, your sister does. That's good. Front your sister. That's okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. She will have something to say about her grandpa. Yeah?
Hello.
Madonna started this way. It's okay.
Love you, Opa.
Now, believe it or not, that was the most heartfelt comment made tonight, so that's all right. That was the truth right there. Okay, who else do we have out there? Who else do we have out there? I can't believe Joe Kelleher's a loss for words. I mean, Mr. Organization, you know, right? He had the idea. Joe says, let's go to Ireland. You guys plan it, I'll be there. That's right. And it all came together somehow. It all came together. Right?
Can you take a picture of yours?
Joe of the famous picture over here of Jack at the proctologist's office. There we go.
You know, that exam was rather painful for Jack, and it was the first time, and then he said, can I go out in the office and sit there for 20 minutes and come back in again? He said, yeah, Jack. Jack, as I always understood as a kid, Jack is family. If I asked some of my other cousins to stand up here and had Jack stand up here, you'd say, which one is not like the others?
Look at me.
Most of us
Look
are
at me,
vertically
Daddy.
challenged. All right? Jack has the good fortune to have height. And my wife always thought I didn't like Jack, because when we needed a basketball player and I'd get my little brown Volkswagen, I'd make Jack sit in the back. The first time he climbed out of the truck, he said, why did you make that man sit in the back? I said, well, he gets to play center, he gets to handle the ball a lot. He has to sit in the back. But we did go to Ireland. I did call Jack. Most of what he said over there was true. Dan and I back there said, hey, it would be fun. We sort of felt ourselves were the big picture guys. You know, and we had a committee. There were 3 people on the committee. And one of them said, God, we got to get a family tree. So I called Jack up and said, hey, do you and Jim still have a family tree? And overnight, the committee went from 3 to 6. Jack felt they ought to have 3 McCarthys on the committee, himself, Jim, and Peg, because there were 3 Morleys on the committee. So that became the committee. Mary Lee called me up and said, you know, my husband's really busy. Why are you putting all these things on the man? I said, Mary Lee, he just is the kind of person that Jack's so is. And honest to God, he got us together. He organized us. A few of us had heard of the internet. Jack put us on the internet. Those who had heard of it didn't know how to operate it, so he still had to call us. But the trip worked. It was Jack's effort. We appreciate it. And Dan and I are sitting back there now trying to get some other big pictures together. But I've enjoyed the relationship with this gentleman. I just can't believe. When I was a little kid, he used to walk me to school.
There's also a time not too many years ago when Joe and Jack were down at the beach together, and they arranged a tennis match with one of Joe's sons and somebody else, another young fella. And Jack says, how the hell are we going to beat these guys? I mean, they're much younger than us. He says, and Joe gave that age-old quote. He says, you know, age and treachery will overcome youth and skill every time. And they did beat them. So let's see, anybody else out there? Oh, we got Michelle wants to come up here, yes. She has a prop, too. She has a prop. Okay. Here's Maya with her. Okay.
I have baby Maya. I don't have anything funny to say, but I just wanted to say happy birthday to my dad, and thank you for being such a great dad and grandpa. And people always say to me, oh, thanks, Michelle, you did such a good job on the cancer webpage or on the family webpage, but it's just no comparison for what my dad does for me, always helping and just any number of things every day. My dad's so helpful, and the kids have great sleepovers there, and we just love you so much, Dad. So happy birthday.
She's listed first in the will, Jack, is that right?
No, Nicole, you're first. I'm first.
Right, thank you.
Go with the DJ, that's right. Jack, I think it's your time here, okay? Because you really want to get to the dessert, okay? You know what I mean? You want their cake. So you get a chance here now. And that's his favorite brother. He can't say anything bad about me. He shops the finest store at CVS right there. Got your card, don't you?
I was asked, did I know about this? And I said, absolutely. I said, I knew about this event. We got to the door. Jim was nervous. The lights were out in the KFC. The lights are never out unless it's 2 in the morning. I go, uh-oh, at the door. This bag, now, if anybody knew about an event like this, would A, you wear a tie like this, B, would you bring your briefcase? These are really very handy because after you get them from CVS, you can also use them in the trash. The reason I brought the bag is I thought we were going to a restaurant tonight, and I was going to basically PISS off my brother by a couple of these cards. But it's amazing what the kids can do to your vocabulary. 10 years ago, we had a 50th birthday party, and Diane wanted to do the party. She wanted to have a surprise party, which was kind of impossible because she was going to have it at the house. And so she asked me, and I said, no, I didn't really care, but it'd be a great idea to have a party. It turns out the party was wonderful for lots of reasons. And then, for those of you who were there 10 years ago, I want to tell you the basement in the succeeding 10 years has managed to accumulate a lot of junk, Junque, and some of which is attributable to my 4 children, much of which is attributable to me. And Mary Lee has been nagging me for years to clear the basement out. And she's been praying every day to clear the basement out. And last Saturday afternoon, God answered her prayers. You bet. Anyway, you got it. So, Saturday and Sunday, I'm there pulling stuff out, throwing stuff out, like she had asked me to do years earlier. And we celebrate my birthday today by going to Home Depot and buying tile and other things. But tonight, we're going to... I should have been smarter than this. Where did he go? Jim? Oh, they're there. We're going from the Knights of Columbus to the Old Anglers Inn. Now, anybody who can read a map can know that doesn't make a lot of sense. Except for me. So anyway, so I thought, okay, well, I'll bring with me tonight a couple things. One is, I was going to wear, I didn't want to wear a tie. I wanted to wear Tom Moriarty, wherever you are. I want to wear that shirt tonight. Mary Lee says, no, you cannot wear that shirt because you're going to a nice restaurant. You need to wear a coat and tie. As you can see, I'm wearing the tie right now. The other thing was, she said, I think you ought to wear Bugs Bunny tie. The Bugs Bunny tie, for those of you who buy designer clothes, I've told a few people this before, some of you in the upper echelons of society buy designer clothes. Others of you who are a little lower down buy them off the rack. I buy them off the wall. This tie I got at the post office. I was in the post office one day buying stamps, and I said, gee, there's a tie on the wall. And I said, I'd like to buy one. The woman says, the clerk, very polite, you know how the postal clerks are, I ain't got none. I said, you got one? It's on the wall. She said, you want it, you go get it. So I went and got it, and I bought it. And there's the tie. The reason I bought this tie was that 10 years ago, at my 50th birthday, I got a tie here that a shirt that I wear for my granddaughters who've seen, I'm trying to bond with the granddaughters. Yeah, right, you guys. You guys recognize Bugs? Yeah, that was Bugs. I got Bugs Bunny at my 50th birthday. But my granddaughters are smarter than me, and they think this is a little juvenile, so I don't wear it a lot. I wanted to tell Jim that this is what I was going to say at the restaurant, and I hope I don't bore too many other people. Where'd you guys get these glasses all of a sudden? They just came back from New Mexico, and I guess obviously I got to tell you where there's the little trinkets the Indians sell out there. Where they buy them wholesale. I was watching them buy them out there a couple of years ago. I got some postcards from, got some birthday cards from some people. One would be Alice Hoxie, who also gave me the 50th birthday shirt. My children gave me another T-shirt 10 years ago. It said, I'm really 32 with 18 years experience. Now, I want to tell you tonight, I'm really 32 with 28 years experience. But here's what I was going to tell my brother. I got a nice postcard, a nice birthday card from Alice, a nice birthday card from Jim, a nice one from Kitty Water from England, a nice one from Sheila, thank you. I got 2 other cards. I got one card that I got today from my dentist. He wants to make sure I keep paying. He owns my teeth. I will get one on Monday because I didn't get it today. It's from my insurance agent because my insurance agent knows that if the card comes back, then the company has to pay up. And then I got the one that would really irritate my brother. This was the birthday card.
Got the 600?
You got it. This afternoon, just before we left the house, the mail came, and by God, your government in action again.
Nobody has sent you a card, huh?
When I worked for the government, in action was one word, not two words, but that's another story. So anyway, as Joe mentioned a year ago, Joe and where's Dan? The two Morleys over there. Those two guys hiding in the corner. These guys Joe says they're big picture guys. They certainly are. Joe reminds me of the guy during World War II. The U.S. government's trying to figure out what to do about the U-boats, and they brought this expert in. The expert said, "You solve the problem overnight. It's real simple to get rid of the U-boats." And he said, "What to do?" They said, "Train the ocean." And that was his answer. They said, "You can't do that." He said, "I'm an idea guy. You implement." Last year, Joe calls me. No, geez, about 3 years ago. Joe, how did you probably was drinking? Anyway, you're driving. Sorry, you weren't drinking. Harry was not drinking. Joe was driving. He calls me on a cell phone, which is probably a mistake. And Joe says, this is like 1998, and Joe says, "How are you going to celebrate the millennium?" I go, "Don't know. Hope we're all still here." And he says, "So would you like to join me for the millennium?" I go, "This is how smart I am." I just said, "Okay." Now, he didn't even bother telling me. He says, "Great. We're going to be in Ken Mayer on August 15th, 2000. I go, "What?" So then we had a committee meeting or one committee meeting, and turns out he and his buddy next to him, they don't say a word, because they just drop the idea and they kind of very casually drift away. The only person...
I bought beer at the meeting.
You did, you're right. Joe bought beer once. The only person who was even better than Joe on helping with this committee thing was Kathleen McGurk. Her job for the committee thing, now I kind of did the database and several little things. Her only job for the meeting, I thought, Joe, was to buy the name tag, the blank name tags,
Well, see,
and the pen.
also our foreign glass on.
Right. But she didn't even get that done right because they lost the name tags after the first day. So they were lost. But anyway, but just very quickly, a year ago we had this wonderful event in Ireland, and Father Broderick, when we were at the Mass of Blackwater, said to us, it was a wonderful event because he said he said, "This is so wonderful when you think about it. People coming from America, England, Ireland, etc. The only time we'd ever really be together," and he was right. It was wonderful. Two other quick things. A couple wonderful things happened. Mary and I were talking this morning. We were out at Gate of Heaven this morning, and she's talking about 10 years ago. And I think that in the 10 years, Jim mentioned this. Some things were not so good, but basically, Hanny's 9 grandchildren all graduated from college, and several reasonably well-behaved girls. Which, despite what Nicole said, I am looking forward to coaching. Nicole, okay, I would love to coach the girls. Joe has been involved in this, and several other people have been involved in it as well in the coaching. But one thing I'd like to tell people who, several things, really great things have happened the last couple of weeks. One, most importantly, is that right after Diane died, or right before she did, we were started on a garden project at Sibley Hospital. In the 7 years, we've been at 5 or 6 different sites at the hospital, and 3 weeks ago, we got a go-ahead to have a garden site, or maybe 2 of them actually, around a brand new oncology center over there, which, upon reflection, is a lot. It's going to be a lot more useful and a lot better than the original concept we had, which was 1994. Diane thought it'd be nice to have a garden that would be near where the patients were, on top of a rooftop garden over at the Sibley Hospital here in Washington. And unfortunately, the hospital moved the patients around to the point where there weren't any patients who could view this garden. And so we're really very excited about what's happening. And so I've been very embarrassed about this because nothing much has happened, but this is going to be terrific. So we'll keep you informed because a lot of people here, in fact, were involved in the original garden project. So I want to thank Jim for the... I think you can be the point guard, and you can probably be a forward. I want to thank Jim for the event. They did a very good job of planning it. Where he gets these pictures from. I don't throw much away, but I think he throws away less than I do. And Michelle just told me, for those of you who survived Ireland a year ago tonight, that we now have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of that week on the web. Michelle, I knew that Michelle, about a week ago, she sent me an email telling me something about this, and I saw that the time on the email was like 2:15 in the morning, so I called her and told her to cut this out, get back. She has 3 kids, after all. But we'd like to have those up there for a little while, and like I said, it turned out to be really a wonderful time, and I'm really delighted that everybody was, the people who came tonight, I really appreciate it. Very quickly, I want to thank everybody. I'm going to spend 3 minutes on this. People at the table, Jim and Jill, everybody knows about. I want to thank Huck for coming tonight. He mentioned I had a brief military service. When I was out in Arizona on a TDY, and I called Diane. I told her I had good news, bad news, and good news. She said, "What's the good news, bad news, and good news?" So I said, I'd be home very quickly. I was going to be coming home on Monday. I was going to be home. I mumbled something. I was going to be home for 3 weeks. She said, "What was in between coming home on Monday and coming home in 3 weeks?" I said, "I was going to Vietnam." Well, so she was very upset, and then she called around to try and find somebody to talk to. So she ends up talking to Jim's mother-in-law, Huck's wife, Gloria, who was never at a loss for words. So when Diane calls her, she's crying and everything else, and she says, "Gloria, Jack's going to Vietnam, blah, blah, blah." And Gloria goes, "Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. It'll be character building," and hung up. Never forgot that. I want to thank Karen and Harry Green. Harry and I, it was really strange how things go around in circles, and I was telling my son Michael this several months ago. Harry and I did meet at Columbia, and then about 20 years later, we're at a parent meeting or something at Annunciation, and said, "My God, it was God from 20 years earlier that I hadn't seen in 20 years." And I want to thank Karen for when Diane passed away. Karen got this dinner pulled together at the on Brookville Road. It's a French restaurant anyway. She had this thing, and I was working late that night using government Xerox to run off the program for the funeral the following day. And I showed up just as the waiter did. I showed up at 10 o'clock at night, and just in time to pay the bill. And somebody, I think it was Michael or Kitty, one of my cousins said to me, that was fabulous because they didn't have to put up with me at all during the evening, and I showed up in time to pay the bill. So, my cousins really appreciated that, Karen. Isabel sitting behind you there. I'm the only guy I ever heard of who had 2 mothers-in-law with the same name, Isabel. Both were very mean, but we won't pursue that. And then, sorry, I forgot her daughter's here. Her daughter, her daughter's in the Navy, which doesn't count. But, there you go. See, she's got a sense of humor. And, yeah, right, excuse me. Carol Jordan, thank you for coming. Carol was with Diane at the Howard University Law School. Howard University's done a wonderful thing. They kept a chapel at Dunbarton College as a chapel, which is wonderful. I think my mother's cousin, Mary Ellen Kelleher, despite the fact that she's got a son over there who I wouldn't be too proud of. And Ruth Kavanaugh has been fantastic. Ruth's daughter, Mary Ellen, was with us in grade school, and has really been a wonderful friend to Mary Lee's auntie and uncle on Q Street, and over the years. And thank you very much for coming. You're fabulous. Tim has the distinction of having shared a class with Jim Fallon. And these 2 guys went to Georgetown. They were in the same class, same major, and neither saw one another in class because it turns out neither of them ever went to class. So, Pat and Maureen and Pat's mother, Barbara. After we left Ken Mayer, we went to Galway last year, and we had some fantastic times up in Galway. And her hometown of Ross Muck which has the world's greatest harbor with no ships. And if anybody wants to, Bob Giblin, my father-in-law, is there. Used to design ships, still does. Bob is working on. Pete Martin, you think you're going to retire? He's 87 and 86. Sorry. He's been working ever since. I know that's a real inspiration to Pete. Pete's heading back to West Virginia as soon as he can. I would also want to thank Barbara Long for this photograph that she got of my Pat and myself. Hey, Pat, I'm taller than you in this picture. Okay, just want you to know that. Hey. About that. Will, thank you. You and I work across the highway from one another, which is the Dulles Toll Road, which means you can't get across there alive. Pete, I remember when you first bought the place in West Virginia, I never heard, they all heard the story about buying a pig in a poke. You did. You thought you were buying a male or female or whatever it was, and you bought it in a gunny sack, and you got home and you finally figured out it wasn't what you thought you bought. Somehow the people in West Virginia figured out you were from Chevy Chase, not from West Virginia. Tom and Maureen, thank you for everything. Maureen is getting Tom up on the internet, I think. I hope. The Morley's over there. Claire grew up 2 blocks from our house, actually. 46th and Albemarle. You're going to talk to Mary Lee. It turns out Mary Lee's great-great-grandfather was in the Civil War, and she thought he fought in all the great wars, battles of the Civil War. When she finally did the research at the archive, she found out he fought in the Battle of Emytown. He was stationed a mile from our house. He never did anything. He did about as much as Tim Lanigan did in the war in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I mean, he was in the heart of it. And I'll save Jackie Kelleher any embarrassment by even mentioning Joe. Mr. Idea Guy. Next time you call me on the cell phone, I ain't answering. Mike, thank you for... My son Michael has some distinction. Last week I called him on the cell phone. I said, we're having a little rain here, and Dad said that Mike had to be at DuPont Circle when the manhole cover was blowing up in front of him. And I want to thank the Lighthouser, Brian and Mark Lighthouser. If you guys have seen any exhibits at the National Gallery of Art, you can thank him. If you don't like him, don't thank him. They were great.
Nothing tops your outfit tonight, Joe.
I tried to keep things in good taste. And Ham, and his son Ham and Nicole. I was wondering why you were on the phone so long this morning, Nicole. You weren't worried about the bill, or charges, or anything. She told me she's calling from New York. She's calling from Wisconsin Avenue. And I said earlier in the evening it was hard for me to hide the fact that John and Mary were married from anybody, because I told everybody to go to the website, and everybody says, "My God, his son just got married." So but I encourage you, and John and Mary had a marvelous wedding in the park July the 9th. And Mary, unfortunately, has made the mistake of going into the law. I shouldn't say that, Karen. Karen Green here is a law student. Mary's a law student, and we got. I think that's about the limit of lawyers. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it.
Right here. No.
That's it. I know. I'd say counted 5. That's it. 3 active and 2 potentials. So that's about as much as we'll do. Danielle, thank you for coming. Danielle's father, Clay. What can I say? Oh, Clay was with us in grade school, which is sometimes a badge of honor and sometimes not. And then I got to also highlight my nephew Dan. I've never seen anybody so quick on the draw as when it comes to trying to pick out Redskin games he wants to go to. Dan, you can probably have the Cowboy game this year because they're going to be even worse than the Redskins. I don't think they've scored either.
I changed my mind.
Oh, yeah, no, it's too late. John says it's too late. And Laura, I want to say to Jim, Sheila, and my Aunt Eleanor, Eleanor was the godmother and I was the godfather of Laura. Everybody was so incensed that I showed up looking like, I don't know who I looked like, but I didn't look. I had a beard. I don't know what I'm sorry, the cough drop, the guy in the cough drop box, Joseph Smith. That's who I was. And I told Laura the story about that beard. When I was in the service, I had a mustache, and later I let it kind of grow, and so that spring, in April, there was Laura's the christening for Laura. Then later went out to Michigan, and I was bored out in Michigan, so I just shaved the beard off. Because it wasn't anything else sorry, Mark, there wasn't anything else to do in Michigan, so I just kind of shaved the beard off. I came back to Washington on the day they had a march on Washington by all the anti-war protesters. If I had kept the beard, I would have walked into the office with no problem, but I was stopped by all these long-haired hippies. Look, I'm talking about, wait, I'm sorry, hippies were in, before you were born, but whatever. Well, anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming here. What Yogi said, make it necessary. I thought we were going to this restaurant. When am I going to the restaurant? I should have figured this out. You never spent enough money on me to take me to a decent restaurant. We're back here tonight. We're here every month. The highlight of the year is next Friday night. Is it Friday night or Saturday night?
Friday night.
Friday night, Mike? All right. Friday night, $30, craft feast, all you can eat. There you go. Okay. As a matter of fact, in this room, the decor is the same. The only difference on next Friday night is I'll have a lot more newspapers on the table. Huh? I'm done. I've been done a long time. Hey, thank you very much.
Mark commented on Jack's outfit. Mark, we'll hit him back to the home by midnight, okay? I want to thank Mike again for his musical selection. Did a great job putting up the music here. Yeah, one quick story about the Civil War and, relatives. Diane did a lot of research on the Civil War. It turns out that our great-grandfather, Owen Devine, the father of my grandmother, actually was in the Civil War, Union Army, and he was discharged when he got out of the service when the war ended, 1865, at the intersection of George Mason Drive and Lee Highway, which turns out to be a mile from where we now live, 2 miles from where we live. It's just a real small world to realize in all this research you find out that used to be a Union camp there in that intersection. So it is a small world when you talk about it. We'd like to say we still have dessert ahead of us here tonight, so we'll have that. And Mike's going to put on some more. That Little Richard is real good dinner music. That's real good. Some more of that.
So, name's Dan.
Dan. Oh, you're right. Oh,
no, never mind.
Disco Dan over here. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I forgot about there's Music Mike and Disco Dan. We got all right. Nice shirt, Dan. Where'd you get that shirt? Okay, sorry.
Learn them all.
That's what his dad's shirt at one time. It's okay. Okay, so we'll have dessert served up. We'll have a little more music playing for you. And if anybody wants to take a shot at Jack, just feel free to do that. Thank you all very much.
The girls and I are playing touchdown.
How'd you do? You can't find any more? No? You can't find any more?
You'd have to plus. You can believe that. I'm not sure it's accurate.
For my
Did you realize that when Hyndman becomes a big celebrity whose life is hard to alcohol, and this will be the footage they show on the Behind the Music special?
Good night, old man.
Now is kind of just came out of the blue. Well, we've been talking about doing it for years, and now it's we're two bedroom apartment, and we're gonna do headlands. It's really dangerous, but we're gonna get it. We're gonna move. We're gonna go into a condo. But where we are now, it's right in the same area, but it'll be a little more room. It's a storage. There's a lot of storage. It's flat on the side. You know what I want? All my friends do just stay and die in that house. Okay, good. But anyway, the invitation. It was different. Well, yes, that was probably one of the reasons. Yes.
She was holding her dancing and she was going like this to me. Oh, so cute.
The condo, I think, will be nice.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We got the house at the beach and we just renovated that. I would really, I would stay there all day. Oh, I love it. I love to go down in the wintertime. Yeah. Yeah, we're still renovated it. Oh, you should. You know, my daughter was just dancing. My daughter's down in Woodbury. You're coming back today, but mother-in-law was down there. So, this is so hard. Yeah. Yeah. Things are going down there. Unbelievable. Yeah, things are just yeah, right. But you know what? Right, the beach place.